The massive ship floated dead in space, silent as a tomb. Captain or stood at the viewing port of his exploration vessel, staring at the enormous hulk that drifted before them. His purple skin darkened with excitement. In 300 years of searching the dead zone, no one had found anything like this. "It's definitely human," his science officer said, running scans. "The design matches the old records. This is a warship, Captain, a big one." Or felt his hearts beat faster. Humans were legends now. Everyone in the galaxy knew the stories. 3 centuries ago, they had appeared from nowhere, spreading across dozens of star systems in just 50 years. They built incredible technology. They fought like demons. Then one day, all their signals stopped. Every human world went silent. When scouts finally went to check, they found empty cities, abandoned stations, and nothing else. No bodies, no explanations, just silence. "Prepare a boarding team," or ordered. "This discovery will make us famous." The ship was called the Eternal Vigil according to the faded letters on its hull. It was 5 kilometers long, bristling with weapon ports and armor plating. But it showed no power signature, no lights, no heat. It was as dead as the civilization that built it. Or led 20 specialists through the airlock. Their suits provided air and light as they floated through dark corridors. Everything was perfectly preserved. No damage, no decay, just emptiness. "Where are the bodies?" asked Ara the teams. "Ships don't just empty themselves." They found crew quarters with personal items still in place. Photos on walls, clothes in lockers, half-finished meals in the galley, perfectly frozen in the cold of space. It was like everyone had simply vanished. The bridge was enormous. Command stations surrounded a central chair, all facing massive view screens, or touched a console carefully. Nothing happened. "Sir, you need to see this," called one of his engineers from deeper in the ship. They found it in the ship's core, a sealed chamber with warnings written in dozens of languages, or his translator struggled with some of them. "Danger. Do not open. Authorized personnel only. Emergency protocols active." "What do you think is inside?" Aura asked. "Only one way to find out," Or said. "Fame and fortune favored the bold." His engineers cut through the seals. The door hissed open, releasing 300-year-old air. Inside was a large room filled with strange pods arranged in rows. In the center stood a pillar of crystal that pulsed with faint blue light. "Those are pods," Ara whispered, "and that looks like an AI core. Captain, I think there might be people inside those pods, frozen people." Or approached the crystal pillar. His scientific curiosity overwhelmed his caution. If they could access the ship's AI, they could learn everything about human technology. The Empire would reward him beyond his wildest dreams. "Can we activate it?" he asked his chief engineer. "Maybe it still has some power, very faint, but it's there, like it's been waiting." "Do it," or ordered. The engineer connected their portable power supply to the crystal core. Energy flowed into it. The blue pulse grew brighter, brighter. The crystal began to hum. Then a voice spoke. It was female, calm, and spoke perfect. "Emergency protocols activated. Analyzing situation. Foreign entities detected. Initiating defensive measures." The lights came on, all of them. The entire ship blazed to life, or stumbled backward as the floor vibrated beneath his feet. "What did we do?" Ara shouted. The voice continued. "This vessel is UHSF Eternal Vigil. I am Arya, ship's artificial intelligence. Unauthorized boarding detected. Awakening crew. Powering weapons systems. Initiating station breach protocol." "Station," Or said. "We're not at a station." But they were. While his team had been exploring, his crew had been towing the massive ship to their research outpost. The Eternal Vigil was currently docked at Outpost, connected by umbilical cords and docking clamps. Alarms blared throughout the human ship. The pods began to hiss and steam. Inside them, Or could see shapes, bodies. They were moving. "Back to the ship, everyone back now," Or screamed. The team ran for the airlock, but massive doors slammed shut throughout the corridor. They were trapped. Through the viewing ports, or saw his worst nightmare. The Eternal Vigil's engines ignited. Blue fire erupted from thrusters that hadn't moved in 3 centuries. The ship pulled away from the station, tearing through docking clamps like they were paper. On the station, 1,700 scientists and workers watched in horror as the ghost ship came alive. It rotated slowly, its weapon ports opening like hungry mouths. Red targeting lasers painted the station's hull. Inside the chamber, the pods finished their cycle. Locks disengaged with mechanical precision. Steam poured out as the first pod opened. A hand emerged, gripping the pod's edge. Then another. A figure pulled itself upright, coughing and gasping. Or stared at the first living human anyone had seen in 300 years. The man was tall, muscular, with black hair and dark eyes. He wore a military uniform with symbols or didn't recognize. The human looked around the room, disoriented, his eyes focused on the boarding team. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then more pods opened. More humans emerged, 27 in total. They helped each other stand, speaking in their ancient language. Some looked confused, others looked angry. The first human spoke to Arya. "Report, where are we? What's our status?" "Commander, you have been in sleep for 317 years and 42 days. The mission has failed. Humanity is extinct. We are the last." The words hung in the air like a death sentence, or watched the humans' faces change as the truth sank in. Pain, grief, rage. Commander turned to look at Or. His expression was cold. "Who are you, and what did you do to my ship?" Commander stood on shaky legs, his body still adjusting from centuries of frozen sleep. Around him, his crew pulled themselves from their pods, coughing and confused. The aliens backed away, their translator devices chirping as they tried to communicate. "Please, we meant no harm," Or said, his words translated into crackling English. "We are explorers. We found your ship drifting. We did not know anyone was alive inside." Ignored him. He turned to a woman with short black hair who was checking the vital signs of other crew members. "Doctor, status report on the crew." Looked up, her eyes still red from sickness. "Everyone's alive, Commander. 27 souls, but we need time to recover. 300 years is a long sleep." A younger man stumbled over, gripping a handrail for support. "Commander, this is Lieutenant Wu. Sir, Arya just told us humanity is gone. Is that possible?" His jaw tightened. "Arya doesn't lie. If she says we're alone, we're alone." He turned to face the AI's crystal core. "Arya, full briefing. What happened to Earth? What happened to everyone?" The AI's voice filled the chamber. "Accessing historical records from my last updates. 320 years ago, a coalition of alien species launched a coordinated attack on human colonies. They used a biological weapon specifically designed to target human DNA. 99.999% of humanity died within 3 weeks. The few survivors died shortly after from secondary effects. All human worlds are now dead or occupied by other species." The room went silent except for someone crying softly. A young engineer named covered her face with her hands. "Why?" asked quietly. "Why would they do that?" Arya paused before answering. "Coalition records claim humanity was expanding too aggressively. They called us a threat to galactic peace. They voted to eliminate us before we became too powerful." Wu slammed his fist against a bulkhead. "Murderers! They killed everyone. My family, my friends, everyone." Raised his hand for silence. His voice was cold as ice. "Get control of yourself, Lieutenant. We're military personnel. We don't have the luxury of breaking down." He turned back to Or and the team. "You, tell me what species participated in the attack. Tell me who killed my people." Or's skin turned pale purple. "That was 300 years ago, human. None of us were alive. The coalition included many species. The Empire was one of them, but we were not the leaders. Please, you must understand we had no part in this. We were not even born. But your ancestors were, Wu said, moving toward Or. Your people voted to exterminate us. Stand down, Lieutenant, ordered. Arya, secure these aliens, put them in the brig. Don't harm them unless they resist. We need information. The AI immediately. Defensive drones emerged from hidden panels surrounding the team, or considered fighting but saw the futility. The humans were injured, sick from sleep and outnumbered by his team. But this was their ship with their AI and their weapons. He raised his hands in surrender. As the aliens were led away, approached. Commander, what are we going to do? We can't bring back the dead. Revenge won't rebuild humanity. First, we gather intelligence, said. Then we decide. He walked to a nearby console that had activated with the ship's awakening. Arya, show me the galaxy. I want to see what they built on our graves. Holographic displays filled the air, showing star systems, trade routes, and political boundaries. The galaxy was divided into several major empires, billions of aliens living on hundreds of worlds. Some were on planets that had once been human colonies. They took everything, said, staring at the display. Not just our lives, our worlds, our homes. Studied the map carefully. Arya, where are we exactly? Currently at Outpost, a research station. When they activated my core, I initiated emergency protocols. We have broken free from their docking clamps. The station is damaged but intact. How many aliens on that station? 1,743 life signs. Grabs arm. You're not thinking of attacking them, are you? They're civilians, scientists. They had nothing to do with what happened. I'm not thinking anything yet, said, but they need to understand their situation. Arya, open a channel to the station. An administrator appeared on the screen, his face twisted in fear. Please do not fire. We are researchers, not military. We have families on this station. Then you should have thought about that before you woke us up, said. Here's what's going to happen. You will provide us with every piece of historical data you have, every record about humanity's extinction, every detail about the coalition that killed us. You will do this within the next 6 hours. If you comply, no one gets hurt. If you refuse or try to call for help, I will show you what a human warship can do. Do you understand? The administrator nodded frantically. Yes, we will cooperate. Please just don't hurt anyone. Cut the connection. He turned to find his entire crew staring at him. What happens after we get the information? Asked. Before could answer, Arya interrupted. Commander, I am detecting another power signature. Long-range sensors show a similar energy pattern to our own. Distance, 47 light-years. What does that mean? Wu asked. Felt ice in his stomach. He already knew the answer. It means we weren't the only ghost ship. Arya, how many vessels were part of Project Revenant? 12 ghost ships were deployed. Each carried a crew and sleep. Each was designed to activate if humanity faced extinction. We are ship number 7. And now ship number 3 just woke up, said, staring at the holographic display. The question is, who found them and what are they going to do? Pulled up more data on her console. Commander, look at this. Arya has complete specifications on our capabilities. We're not just a warship. We're a doomsday weapon. Self-replicating hunter-killer drones. Weapons that can crack planets. Enough firepower to destroy entire civilizations. They designed us to survive extinction, said softly. And then what? Take revenge on the entire galaxy. Looked at each of his crew members. They were young, scared, and angry. The last remnants of a murdered species. In the old world, they would have been heroes defending humanity. In this new world, they were ghosts haunting a galaxy that thought them dead. Get me everything on those other ships, he ordered. If they're waking up, we need to know what they'll do, and we need to decide what we're going to do first. 6 hours later, the data finished downloading. Sat in the captain's chair, reading through 300 years of history. His crew gathered around, each studying different sections. What they learned made them sick. The coalition had debated for 2 years before acting. Records showed heated arguments in galactic councils. Some species wanted to contain humanity peacefully. Others wanted them destroyed completely. In the end, fear won. They created a virus that attacked human DNA at the cellular level. It spread across every human world in days. They were terrified of us, said, reading medical reports. The virus killed children first, then the elderly. The healthy adults lasted longest, but none survived more than a month. Entire planets died screaming. Wu's hands shook with rage. And then what? They just moved into our homes, took our technology. Pulled up economic data. Worse, they sold it. Human innovations became trade goods. Our medical advances, our engines, our weapons. Everything we created is being used by the people who murdered us. Continued reading in silence. He found reports from intelligence services. Some species had opposed the genocide. The Protectorate voted against it. So did the Kelvin Unity. But the majority ruled, and the majority wanted humanity gone. Not everyone agreed, said, finding the same records. Commander, billions of aliens tried to stop this. They failed, but they tried. Doesn't change the outcome, Wu said bitterly. Finally spoke. Arya, show us the full details of Project Revenant. I want to know what we really are. The AI displayed information that had been classified even before the fall. Project Revenant was humanity's final insurance policy. 12 ships, each crewed by elite specialists. Each ship was a complete arsenal designed to survive anything. If humanity was destroyed, the ghost ships would wake up and ensure no one else could rise unchallenged. We're a revenge weapon, said quietly. They built us to strike back from beyond the grave. The ship's capabilities were terrifying. Each vessel carried enough firepower to destroy fleets. Their AI could create autonomous weapons that would spread across star systems like a plague. They could crack planets, burn atmospheres, and turn civilizations to ash. 12 ships, Wu said. If we all activated, we could end them, make them pay for what they did. And become exactly what they feared, countered. Monsters who kill entire populations for the actions of their ancestors. Stood and walked to the main. Outside, the station floated peacefully. Lights glowed in windows where families lived and worked. Children, probably. Scientists pursuing knowledge. People who had never harmed anyone. Arya, what were our final orders? He asked. What did Earth tell us to do if we woke up? The AI paused. Commander, those orders are sealed. They can only be accessed by unanimous vote of surviving senior officers. Looked at his crew. All senior officers vote now. Should we access the final orders? One by one, they agreed. Arya unlocked a hidden data file buried deep in her core. A video played on the main screen. An elderly woman appeared. She wore a tattered government uniform and stood in what looked like an underground bunker. Behind her, could see people dying in medical beds. This was Earth in its final days. If you're watching this, it means we're gone, the woman said, her voice steady despite obvious pain. I am President, last elected leader of the Human Federation. I'm recording this message as the virus consumes our world. We have days left at most. She coughed, wiping blood from her lips. To the crews of the ghost ships, you are the last of us. You carry our memory, our legacy, our hope. I know what you must be feeling. Anger, betrayal, the desire for revenge. I understand. I feel it too. The president looked directly at the camera. But I'm giving you a different order. You are free. Free from our wars, our mistakes, our hatreds. You don't owe us revenge. You don't owe anyone anything. If you want to disappear into the dark, do it. If you want to build something new, do it. If you want to make peace with the galaxy, do it. She paused, gathering strength. But I beg you, don't become what they feared. Don't prove them right. Humanity was more than our weapons and our pride. We were also artists and dreamers, builders and protectors. We believed in justice, not just power. We believed in tomorrow. Her image flickered as the recording degraded. The weapon systems on your ships are a curse as much as a gift. Use them wisely. Remember us, but don't let us chain you. You are the last humans. Make us proud. The message ended. Silence filled the bridge. Was crying, stared at her hands. Wu looked lost. Felt something break inside his chest, a pain worse than any weapon could cause. She's right, finally said. If we kill billions in revenge, we're just proving they were right to fear us. But they murdered our people, Wu shouted. They exterminated us like insects. How can we just forgive that? I didn't say forgive, said quietly. I said think. Arya, what's the status of the other ghost ship that activated? Ship number 3, the UHSF Silent Wrath, went active 2 days before us. It was discovered by the collective. Current location, unknown. No communications detected. Can you contact them? Attempting now, Commander. They waited. Minutes passed. Finally, a face appeared on screen. The man was older than, with gray hair and scars on his face. He wore a captain's uniform that looked damaged. I'm captain of the Silent Wrath, the man said. His voice was harsh. Who are you? Commander of the Eternal Vigil. Captain, we need to coordinate. There are things you need to know. Laughed bitterly. Coordinate, I know everything I need to know. Humanity is dead. The aliens killed us. Now it's their turn to die. I've already destroyed 3 colonies. I'm working on the 4th. Felt cold. Captain, you're killing civilians, innocent people. No such thing, said. They're part of the species that voted to exterminate us. Every single one shares the guilt, and I'm going to make sure they understand what they did. The president's final order started. I don't care what some dead politician said, shouted. She's gone. Earth is gone. Everyone we loved is gone. All we have left is justice, and I'm going to deliver it. The connection cut off. Wu looked at. He's doing what we should be doing, making them pay. He's murdering innocents, said. That's not justice, that's just more genocide. Made his decision. Arya, plot a course to intercept the Silent Wrath, maximum speed. Commander, that ship is our equal in every way, the AI warned. A battle between us could destroy both vessels. I know, said, but if we don't stop him, he'll ignite a war that kills billions. We're the last humans. That means we're responsible for what humanity does, even if it means stopping one of our own. The Eternal Vigil jumped through space faster than light, chasing another ghost. Stood on the bridge, watching star systems blur past. Behind him, his crew prepared for battle. It had been 3 days since they learned about attacks. The galaxy was panicking. News networks broadcast images of burning colonies, millions dead, orbital stations reduced to debris. The aliens remembered humans as a legend, a cautionary tale. Now the legend had returned as a nightmare. We're receiving hundreds of transmissions, reported from the communication station. Every major government is demanding we surrender. Some are offering to negotiate. Others are mobilizing military fleets. Any word from? Asked. Nothing. He's not responding to anyone. Worked at the medical station reviewing their prisoners. Had released most of the scientists back to their station. He kept only Captain Orr and 2 others as insurance. The decision had split his crew. Wu had argued for keeping them all. Had suggested releasing everyone. Tried to walk a middle path. Commander, we're approaching space, Arya announced. Detecting weapon signatures. The Silent Wrath is engaging targets. The showed a colony world. Cities glowed on the night side. Orbital platforms circled peacefully. Then fire rained from the sky. Ship hung in high orbit, its weapons systematically destroying every artificial structure on the planet below. How many people down there? Asked quietly. 80 million, Arya replied. Civilian population, no military installations. Wu clenched his fists. They were part of the coalition. They voted to kill us. The government voted, corrected. Did every single person down there agree? Did the children vote? Did the ones not even born 300 years ago? Before they could argue further, the silent wrath detected them. His face appeared on screen, streaked with sweat and fury. I figured you'd come eventually, here to stop me. Here to talk, said carefully. Captain, you've made your point. The galaxy knows we survived. Now we need to think about what comes next. What comes next is justice, said. I'm working through the list. Every species that participated gets judged. Every world that benefited gets burned. And when you're done, when you've killed billions, what then? His expression was empty. Then humanity is avenged. Then I can finally rest. Took a deep breath. I spoke with our prisoners, spent days interviewing them. Captain, not everyone agreed with what happened. The coalition vote was close. Some species fought against it. Not hard enough, they still died. Our families, our friends, our entire civilization. They took everything. I know, I feel it too, every hour of every day. But President gave us final orders. She told us not to become monsters. Is dead, roared. Her orders died with her. We're what's left and we make our own rules now. Another city burned. Made a choice he knew he'd regret. Arya target the silent wrath. Disable their weapon systems. Commander, that ship will defend itself, the AI warned. This will become a battle to the death. I know, do it anyway. The Eternal Vigil opened fire. Energy beams lanced across space, striking the silent wrath's shields. Alarms blared on both ships as they maneuvered for position. You're really doing this? His voice was disbelieving. Fighting for the aliens, fighting against your own people. I'm fighting for humanity, said. The real humanity, not the monster you're trying to create. The battle was brutal. Both ships were perfectly matched, built from the same designs by the same engineers. They traded devastating blows. The Eternal Vigil's starboard armor cracked under missile impacts. The silent wrath lost an engine to a precision strike. On the colony below, terrified watched two human warships tear into each other above their world. Some cheered, thinking their saviors had arrived. Others just prayed the violence would end. Shield generators at 40%, called out. We can't take much more. Neither can they, Wu reported from weapons. But Commander, if we destroy that ship, we're killing humans. Maybe the last humans besides us. Knew every blast, every shot was reducing their species further. But if he didn't stop, how many billions would die? Then had an idea. Arya, can you communicate with AI, ship to ship, not through the captains? Possible but irregular, the AI responded. Try it. Tell their AI what we found in our core. Tell them about the President's final message. Arya connected with the Silent Wrath's intelligence system. The two AIs exchanged information in microseconds, faster than any human could follow. Then something changed. The Silent Wrath's weapons powered down. What's happening? Demanded. On screen looked confused. My AI just locked me out of weapons. It's showing me something, a video file I never knew existed. Understood. AI had been showing him the President's final message, the order to be better than their pain, the plea to not become monsters. Minutes passed, the shooting stopped. Both ships drifted in orbit, damaged but intact. Below them, fires burned in cities, monuments to rage and grief. Finally spoke again. His voice was hollow. They took everything from us. My wife was on Mars when the virus hit. My children were in school on Europa. I watched them die over video calls. I listened to them beg me to save them, and I couldn't do anything. I know, said softly. I lost people too, we all did. How do you not want them to pay? How do you not want to burn it all down? Because it won't bring them back. Because revenge is empty. Because somewhere down on that planet is a parent holding a scared child, and that parent wasn't even alive when our people died. And if I kill them, I'm just repeating the same crime. Was silent for a long time. So what do we do? Just forgive, just forget? No, said firmly. We remember, we demand justice, but real justice, not massacre. I'm making an offer to the galaxy. 30 days, they bring us the people who actually created the bioweapon. The ones who voted for it, the ones who pushed for it. Those people face trial, real trials with evidence and law. The guilty get punished. The innocent go free. And if they refuse? His voice was ice. Then we activate all 12 ghost ships and show them what humanity can do when pushed too far. But we give them the choice first. We be better than they were. You really think they'll cooperate? Some will, some won't, but we give them the chance. That's what makes us different. Looked at the colony below, at the fires his weapons had started. Saw something break in the other captain's eyes. Not defeat, realization. I can't undo what I did, said quietly. No, but you can stop doing it. Stand with me. Help me make this right. For the first time since waking, looked uncertain instead of angry. And if your plan fails, if they attack us instead, then we fight together, as the last humans should. Nodded slowly. 30 days. Let's see if they're smart enough to take the deal. The message went out across every frequency, translated into every known language. Commander's face appeared on screens across 1,000 worlds. Behind him stood Captain, Lieutenant Wu, Doctor, Engineer, and the rest of both crews. United, the last humans making their demand. We are the survivors of humanity, said calmly. 300 years ago, a coalition of your governments created a bioweapon that killed 99.999% of our species. Billions of men, women, and children died in agony. You did this because you feared us, because you thought we were a threat. He paused, letting that sink in. You were right to fear us. We were dangerous. We had weapons that could crack worlds, technology that could reshape solar systems, and now that technology is awake again. 12 ghost ships, each one capable of ending civilizations. We could destroy you, easily. Across the galaxy, billions watched in terror. Military fleets mobilized. Evacuation plans activated. Some leaders prepared to surrender, others prepared to fight. But we're not going to destroy you, continued. Not yet. We're giving you 30 days. Bring us the architects of humanity's extinction. The scientists who created the bioweapon, the politicians who voted for it, the military leaders who deployed it. Bring us everyone who actively participated in genocide. They will face trial under human law, fair trials, with evidence and witnesses. The guilty will be punished. The innocent will be freed. Stepped forward. If you cooperate, we will stand down. If you refuse, we activate all 12 ghost ships. We systematically destroy every government that participated. Not your civilians, not your children, but your leaders, your infrastructure, your power. You will know what it means to lose everything. Spoke again. 30 days, choose wisely. The transmission ended. Now came the wait. The first response came from the Protectorate. They had voted against the bioweapon 300 years ago and still had records proving it. Their ambassador requested a meeting. Agreed. We oppose the genocide, the ambassador said via secure channel. We can provide evidence. We will help you find the guilty parties. Other species followed. The Kelvin Unity, the Collective, species that had fought against the decision or been too weak to participate. They offered information, intelligence, and support. But the major powers remained silent. The Empire, the Collective, the Authority, they had been the coalition's core, the ones who pushed hardest for humanity's destruction. They conferred in secret, debating their options. On day 10, the Empire sent assassins. Stealth ships tried to approach the Eternal Vigil under cloak. Arya detected them hours away and vaporized them with long-range weapons. Sent their wreckage back with a simple message: 20 days remaining. On day 15, a group of war criminals surrendered voluntarily. Elderly aliens who had been young politicians 3 centuries ago. They arrived in a small shuttle, broadcasting surrender signals. We knew this day would come. their leader said as guards escorted them to holding cells. "We've lived with the guilt for 300 years. We're ready to face justice." Interviewed them extensively. Their confessions were detailed, horrifying, and matched the historical records perfectly. These were the people who had argued most passionately for human extinction, who had called humanity a plague that needed to be erased. "Why surrender now?" she asked. The old looked tired. "Because you're right, we committed genocide, we don't deserve mercy, but maybe our punishment will satisfy you, maybe it will stop more killing." The trials began on day 20. Had the proceedings broadcast across the galaxy. No secret courts, no hidden executions, everything public, everything documented. Arya served as prosecutor, presenting evidence with mechanical precision. The defendants had legal representation, provided by volunteers from species that opposed the genocide. Witnesses, documents were examined, and his crew served as judges, hearing every case. Some defendants were clearly guilty: scientists who had designed the virus, military officers who had deployed it, politicians who had voted for it knowing exactly what it meant, found them guilty and sentenced them to death by lethal injection. Quick, painless, more mercy than they had shown humanity. But some cases were complicated. An admiral who had opposed the plan but followed orders anyway. A researcher who had worked on the virus but tried to create a cure. A counselor who voted yes under political pressure. "What do we do with these?" Wu asked during a recess. "They participated, but they didn't want to." "Following evil orders doesn't erase responsibility," said. "They made choices." "But do they deserve death?" countered. "Is there room for nuance and justice?" Made the hard calls. The admiral who followed orders, guilty but sentenced to life in prison instead of death. The researcher who tried to create a cure, guilty but sentenced to community service helping preserve human history. The counselor who voted under pressure, not guilty but condemned for cowardice. On day 30, the last trial concluded. 47 aliens had been executed, 112 imprisoned, 33 acquitted or given alternative sentences. The galaxy watched as the last human pulled off his judge's robe and made a final address. "Justice is not revenge," said. "We did not kill everyone involved because not everyone was equally guilty. We did not punish children for the crimes of their ancestors. We followed law, we weighed evidence, and we made judgments based on individual responsibility." He looked directly at the camera. "But make no mistake, if this happens again to any species, we will respond. The 12 ghost ships are not deactivating. We're staying awake, we're staying armed, and we're watching." Stood beside him. "We are the last humans. We can't rebuild our species. We don't have enough genetic diversity, but we can be something else. We can be guardians. We can make sure no other species faces what we faced." Stepped forward. "We're creating the Humanity Memorial Fleet. Any species facing extinction, facing genocide, facing the kind of hatred that destroyed us can call for help. We will come. We will investigate. And if we find guilty parties, we will act." Activated a hologram showing all 12 ghost ships now positioned throughout the galaxy. "We're immortal. Our AI can sustain us indefinitely. Our ships can repair themselves. For as long as this galaxy exists, humanity will exist. Different than before, but still here." The transmission ended. The galaxy processed what had happened. Humanity had returned, demanded justice, and then become something unexpected. Not conquerors, not destroyers, witnesses. 3 months later, stood in a garden. They had converted one of the Eternal Vigil's cargo bays into a greenhouse. Tended to plants they had recovered from seed banks on abandoned human worlds. Earth plants, the last ones in the universe. "Do you think we did the right thing?" she asked, watering a tomato plant. "I think we did the only thing we could live with," said. "Revenge would have been empty. Extinction would have made us monsters. This way, we honor our dead by protecting the living." Arya's voice came through the speakers. "Commander, we're receiving a distress signal. The species reports systematic persecution by a neighboring empire. They're requesting investigation and protection." And exchanged looks. This was their purpose now, their mission. "Set course," ordered, "and contact the other ships. Let's see if they're really trying to commit genocide or just border disputes. Either way, we investigate." As the Eternal Vigil turned toward new stars, its engines blazing, thought about President's final message. She had told them to be more than weapons, to be more than their pain. They were the last humans. They would never have children, never rebuild cities on Earth, never hear their language spoken by billions again, but they could make sure their legacy was more than ashes and grief. The ghost ship spread across the galaxy, invisible until needed, watching, protecting, remembering. And in her garden smiled as a tomato finally ripened, red and perfect, a tiny piece of Earth surviving against all odds just like them. "We're still here," she whispered to the plant. "We're still here." Across the void of space, the other ghost ships received the same distress call. One by one, they responded. Humanity's final fleet, united not by revenge but by purpose. They were witnesses. They were guardians. They were the last echo of a dead civilization, making sure their death meant something. And for the first time since waking, Commander felt something other than pain. He felt pride, not in what humanity had been, but in what its remnants chose to become. The last humans weren't warriors or conquerors. They were something better. They were mercy armed with teeth, justice backed by power, hope surviving in the dark. And they would remember what everyone else had tried to forget, that every species, no matter how small or weak, deserved to exist. That genocide was never justified. That mercy was the only thing separating civilization from extinction. The Eternal Vigil jumped to faster-than-light speed, carrying its small crew toward another crisis, another chance to prove that humanity's legacy was more than its weapons. Behind them, Earth's sun burned cold and distant, shining on empty cities and silent streets. But in a ship between the stars, tomatoes grew, stories were told, and the last humans smiled, knowing they had chosen to be better than their pain. The galaxy would never forget what it had done to humanity, and humanity would never let them do it again.